composed on a word processor. Green dots on screen to make a poem? Words that light up at the touch? That is poetic. But where went the old clack of hammers? Oh, where the lash of type that stabbed the page when fingers went a-stalking? I miss the walk across. Here blinks come out of darkness, yes. Words present themselves up some abyss. Must be the nature of originality. The computer duplicates the mind again. But I like clacks, machinery that knows it is and tells you. What sort of poem does this new box beget? Lit up words? A dotty line? Hey, I'm reading you a stanza now. For 2 months now, I've been reading Yeats, trying out his body, quickened to ingest the secret fire, thinking how the power of his gods might transform my spirit. And nothing works. Those sweet and sour tastes blending on my tongue, curdle going down. My deep foul throat turns to grime such pure, clean stuff. Peptic juices squirt a poison. Ambrosia ends up rank. Christ, what can this mean? Am I a degenerate species? Plunderer who creeps the world, who queers with crossbones fruit he touches, blasts it into rotten apples, who hears but does not change, who changes what he hears? I fear the worst is so. A demon ego, starved, plants at my core his Judas kiss, swills rising sap, makes junk. This is the plague, Tiresias. Metabolism's dead. Yeats takes no effect. I pray to serve in truth, then tilt my hip and grunt. Maybe I should warn you that the series is both a celebration and a lament. And I'll begin with the celebration side. This is called Summer. You, driving your car that hot summer day, waving your skirt above your own lap, making a breeze, one hand on the wheel, raising your skirt higher and higher there in the car, increasing the breeze above your bare legs, then starting to laugh, waving it higher, laughing for joy, laughing at everyone, laughing and driving and waving your skirt higher and higher, wonderfully high, and I there beside you, oh, still as a weight to know every move. It's a domestic love poem. This is coming up. It's a poem, I call it Being Home. I read and write and you, at the sink, in cutoffs, cleanser in one hand, the pulp within your thighs insinuating love as fruit does, ripe, unworried, lush. Oh, you wipe the counters. Corner. This poem is called Services. First your tumor, then breast, then body was gone. All we had left were grains in a bag, in a box. Then your mother and sisters, children and I drove to the ferry and through Harson's Island where Bert has some land he said we could use. And your children, what order? For a few minutes, no usual yells. You should have seen them. Your John cut the weeds, sprayed for mosquitoes. Mikey, hair flaring from under his cap, did most of the digging. Pete, acting on cue, took the small fur out of his clunker, out of his trunk, and stood at the hole, while Jess on the sidelines told Pete where to slant it, Mike how to shovel, John went to spray, and got no more back talk than the warm blue spring air. Then John took the box up to the sapling and shook out some dust. With pieces of bone, there were still chunks. With pieces of bone, he salted the tree, then passed things to Jess, who tilted the box, removed the bag, let more ashes tumble. Mikey was next. He, taking his turn, reached in his hand, pulled out a fistful, then sowed more of the earth by the tree with your cells. Hey, look, I'm the first who reached in with bare hands. But that is when the grabbing began. and then the yelling. Each showed the others how to strew ashes. Then we climbed in our cars, out of the grave. On the way home, Pete's muffler broke. Bump in the road. Actually, I do know a famous person, except nobody knows he's famous. Nobody knows him, but he's famous. He's the man who wrote the film script for Casablanca. His name is Howard Koch. But you see, how many of you watching knew that Howard Koch wrote the film script, this famous film script, Casablanca? He lives in Woodstock, New York, and I know him there. I sat with Howard Koch, the writer. Remember him? He wrote our best-known lines. Here's looking at you, kid, and play it, Sam, play our song. Sat, I say, with Howard Koch and his wife Annie on their porch beside a Catskill stream, drinking cocktails with my then-wife Janet. Sat with this man, his collar up, he's in his 80s, his liquor fine, scotch with Koch, and talked of what the agents want now, and the blacklist he was on with Annie once. And then he asked about my work. Sweetest man, I told him I still had hopes that, but no matter. What I mean to say is, even should we forget his name, here's looking at you, looked at me, said, play it, Larry, while streams babbled, while I sipped his spirits, as I touched a woman's arm. Certain days, where do they amble? Give heart to us all.